The Detroit Lions didn't stumble into this decision by accident, and it certainly wasn't a move made for headlines or instant applause. When the organization landed on Drew Petzing as the new offensive coordinator, it caught a lot of people off guard, and that reaction alone tells you how unexpected this path really was. This wasn't a flashy hire, it wasn't the popular choice on social media, and it wasn't designed to win a press conference. It was about fit, philosophy, and projecting what a coach can become when circumstances finally change in his favor. To understand why the Lions felt comfortable making this move, you have to strip away the surface-level reactions and look directly at what Petzing was working with in Arizona. For 3 seasons, he operated an offense that was constantly fighting uphill battles. Injuries were not a footnote, they were the story. Kyler Murray missed extended time. James Conner, the engine of the run game, was in and out of the lineup. Trey Benson, drafted to add juice to the backfield, barely saw the field. Bam Knight missed time. Marvin Harrison Jr. missed games. Greg Dortch missed games. Zay Jones missed 9 games. The offensive line was a revolving door, with key starters like Jonah Williams, Will Hernandez, Evan Brown, and Paris Johnson all missing significant stretches. At one point, Petzing was coordinating an offense without stability at quarterback, without a consistent run game, and behind one of the league's weakest pass-blocking units. The numbers matter here because context matters. Arizona's offensive line finished 26th overall and near the bottom of the league in pass-blocking efficiency, surrendering pressure at an alarming rate. That kind of environment breaks timing, limits play design, and forces coordinators into survival mode. Despite that, when the Cardinals were at their healthiest in 2024, the offense ranked 12th in points per game, top 11 in offensive DVOA, top 10 in EPA per play, top 10 in success rate, and top 3 in yards per carry. Those are not empty stats. They show structure, intent, and the ability to execute when bodies were actually available. Petzing's offensive identity has always been clear. He wants to run the football. He wants his quarterback under center. He wants to control the tempo of the game and live in manageable down and distance situations. He believes in tight ends as central pieces, not accessories. That philosophy didn't always shine in Arizona because it couldn't always be sustained. When the run game vanished, the entire structure cracked. Late in games or during losing stretches, the Cardinals were forced to throw far more than they wanted, exposing limitations that were never supposed to define the offense in the first place. One of the clearest examples of what Petzing can do when something works is how he utilized Trey McBride. Under his direction, McBride developed into one of the most productive tight ends in football, not just as a receiver, but as a complete piece within the offense. Multiple tight end sets, flexibility between blocking and route running, and heavy involvement in critical situations became staples. That matters in Detroit, where Sam Laporta already operates as a centerpiece, not a luxury. Another piece that can't be ignored is how personnel decisions around Petzing shaped his results. Arizona's front office passed on elite talent and traded down in the 2023 draft, sending picks that eventually became Jahmyr Gibbs and Sam Laporta to Detroit. That isn't hindsight bias, it's reality. Petzing never had players of that caliber on offense at the same time. He wasn't handed a dominant offensive line. He wasn't handed 2 dynamic running backs. He wasn't handed a complete, healthy unit that could dictate terms week after week. None of this guarantees success. The questions are fair. 4th down efficiency was poor. Late-game execution was inconsistent. Fan frustration in Arizona was real. But Detroit isn't asking Petzing to recreate Arizona. They're asking him to run his system with better tools, better health, and an organizational philosophy that already aligns with his own. This is not about turning him into the next Ben Johnson. It's about whether his approach, when paired with Detroit's roster and Dan Campbell's mindset, can unlock something more stable, physical, and sustainable over a full season. This move is a bet on context, not reputation. A bet that injuries masked progress. A bet that philosophy matters more than flash, and a bet that with real talent around him, Drew Petzing can finally show what his offense is supposed to look like when it's not constantly patching holes. What do you think about this hire and the direction the Lions are taking with their offense? The more you project this forward into Detroit's environment, the more this hire starts to make sense from the Lions' internal point of view. This is a roster built to lean into exactly what Drew Petzing wants to do. Detroit is not a finesse team trying to suddenly become physical. This is already a team that wants to control the line of scrimmage, dictate pace, and force defenses to survive 4 quarters of stress. The difference now is that the pieces are not theoretical, they are proven. When Petzing talks about running the football to open everything else up, Detroit can actually do that without forcing it. Jahmyr Gibbs gives explosive speed and mismatch ability that Arizona simply did not have. David Montgomery gives downhill power and reliability in short yardage and late-game situations. That combination alone changes how defenses have to align pre-snap. In Arizona, the run game disappeared far too often, not because of philosophy, but because availability and blocking collapsed it. In Detroit, the run game is not something you hope for, it is something you build around. The offensive line is another massive difference. Even in a season where Lions fans felt spoiled standards slipping, Detroit still finished with a top-tier unit compared to what Petzing worked with. There is a world of difference between managing an offense behind a line ranked in the high teens or low 20s and coordinating behind one that can win individual matchups consistently. Protection creates patience. Patience creates structure. Structure allows a coordinator to actually call the offense he wants, not the one he is forced into. Then there is the tight end usage, which could quietly become one of the defining traits of this offense moving forward. Sam Laporta is already one of the most trusted weapons in Detroit, and what Petzing did with Trey McBride shows how aggressively he is willing to funnel targets through that position when the skill set demands it. This is not about turning Laporta into a volume monster every single week. It is about forcing defenses to account for him in every personnel grouping, every situation, and every part of the field. That attention opens space for receivers, simplifies reads for the quarterback, and creates balance that Arizona struggled to maintain once injuries hit.
The wide receiver conversation also changes in this system. Amon-Ra St. Brown thrives on timing, precision, and controlled aggression. That fits cleanly into an offense built around manageable downs and sustained drives. This is not a system that relies on desperation throws or constant third and long heroics. It is about stacking first downs, wearing defenses down, and striking when coverage finally breaks. When the run game works, when tight ends are involved, receivers like St. Brown don't have to win every snap in isolation. They get leverage, space, and clarity. One of the biggest questions moving forward will be how aggression evolves under this structure. In Arizona, fourth down struggles became a point of frustration. Some of that was execution. Some of it was situational. Some of it was a reflection of an offense constantly playing from behind. In Detroit, those decisions will live inside a different ecosystem. Dan Campbell's mindset is not passive, and that influence will matter. The challenge for Petzing will be marrying his desire for control with the situational boldness that Detroit fans have come to expect. That balance will define whether this offense merely functions or truly elevates. This is also why the Lions were comfortable widening their search and not chasing names. Last season's offensive struggles showed how fragile continuity can be when the fit is wrong. Detroit didn't need another experiment detached from its identity. They needed someone who already believes in how this team wants to win football games. Petzing's background, his emphasis on physicality, and his willingness to build through structure rather than chaos all point in that direction. Nothing about this guarantees a leap forward. There will be scrutiny. There will be moments where play calls are second-guessed. There will be games where execution fails and patience is tested. But this hire is not about chasing trends. It is about alignment. Alignment between the head coach, the roster, and the offensive philosophy. That alignment did not exist in Arizona the way it now exists in Detroit. What happens next will be about translation. Can Petzing take the framework he believed in, strip away the survival tactics he needed in Arizona, and fully install the offense he always wanted to run? Can this system maximize Detroit's strengths without sacrificing adaptability when things go wrong? That is the real evaluation ahead. Now I want to know what you think. Do you believe this offensive philosophy fits the Lions roster and identity, or do you still have doubts about how this will look on Sundays? What also can't be ignored in this entire discussion is how much this move reflects trust inside the building. Detroit didn't just hire a play designer. They hired someone they believe can be molded within their ecosystem. There are existing relationships here, professional familiarity, and a shared football language that matters more than most fans realize. When an organization believes alignment is more important than chasing optics, it tells you they are thinking long-term, not just about surviving the next season. Another layer to this is quarterback management. Petzing's offenses are not built around chaos or freelance football. They are built around rhythm, timing, and sequencing. That doesn't mean creativity disappears, but it means creativity is earned. For a quarterback, that kind of structure can be stabilizing. Reads are cleaner. Play action carries real weight. The run threat isn't cosmetic. In Arizona, that rhythm was constantly interrupted by protection breakdowns and personnel turnover. In Detroit, that rhythm has a chance to actually breathe. This is where patience will be critical for fans. There will likely be stretches early on where things feel conservative. Drives that prioritize field position over fireworks. Sequences that look methodical instead of explosive. That doesn't mean the offense lacks teeth. It means the Lions are trying to force defenses into mistakes rather than chasing them. When that approach works, It doesn't just score points, it breaks opponents mentally. Time of possession flips. Defensive fronts wear down. Pass rushers lose juice late in games. That is the version of football this staff believes in. You can also expect personnel flexibility to increase. Multiple tight end looks won't be situational, they'll be foundational. Motion won't be decorative, it will be diagnostic. The goal won't be to confuse defenses for a single snap, but to force them to reveal tendencies over entire drives. That kind of offense doesn't always show up immediately in highlight packages, but over a season, it changes how teams have to prepare for you. Criticism will come, especially if early results don't explode off the stat sheet. That's unavoidable. But the Lions are not chasing short-term approval. They are betting that consistency, health, and identity will matter more in January than viral play calls in September. Petzing's challenge is not just calling plays, it's proving that his philosophy can scale when given legitimate talent and organizational backing. The margin for error will still be thin. Fourth downs will be dissected. Red zone efficiency will be magnified. Late game decisions will define narratives. But unlike Arizona, this will not be an offense built out of necessity. It will be an offense built by design. That distinction alone gives this hire a chance to succeed where others struggled. This is why the conversation shouldn't be about whether Drew Petzing is exciting. It should be about whether he is coherent, whether his vision aligns with the roster, whether his tendencies complement Dan Campbell's aggression rather than clash with it, and whether Detroit can finally build an offense that doesn't rely on everything going perfectly to function. There is also a psychological element to this move that deserves attention, because it speaks to how Detroit views its own window to win. This organization is no longer trying to prove it belongs. It believes it does. That changes the way decisions are made. When a team feels urgency mixed with confidence, it starts prioritizing dependability over novelty. That's exactly where this hire lives. The Lions are not searching for reinvention. They are refining an identity they already trust. What Petzing brings is not just a playbook, but a tolerance for patience in a league that often panics. His offenses are designed to survive adversity without self-destructing. That matters over a 17-game season when injuries, weather, and momentum swings inevitably hit. Detroit has learned, sometimes painfully, that being explosive without being grounded leaves you exposed when conditions change. This system is meant to travel. It's meant to function in cold games, in tight games, and in games where nothing comes easy. Another point that shouldn't be overlooked is how this affects the defense indirectly. Long, controlled drives are not just about scoring. They are about keeping your own defense fresh and aggressive. When the offense controls possession and dictates tempo, the defense can play faster, take more risks, and close games with energy instead of survival instincts. That complementary football is something Detroit has openly valued, and this offensive approach feeds directly into it. There will also be growth moments. This won't be a static offense. Petzing will have to show adaptability when defenses adjust, when tendencies are exposed, and when opponents force uncomfortable situations. That is where the real evaluation begins. In Arizona, flexibility often came from necessity. In Detroit, it will need to come from intention. The difference between those two things defines whether a coordinator levels up. The Lions are betting that with continuity, health, and talent, the weaknesses that followed Petzing will shrink, while the strengths finally have room to expand. They are betting that structure can unlock explosiveness rather than limit it. They are betting that discipline and physicality can still win in a league obsessed with speed and spread concepts. This is not a hire that demands blind optimism. Skepticism is fair, but it is a hire that demands patience and context. Judging it through the lens of Arizona alone misses the entire point. Detroit is offering Petzing something he never truly had before: stability, alignment, and a roster built to execute his core beliefs without compromise. At some point, this conversation always circles back to expectations, because expectations are what will ultimately frame how this hire is judged. If fans are waiting for this offense to look completely different from week one, they're going to miss what Detroit is actually trying to build. The Lions are not tearing down their offensive foundation. They are reinforcing it. That distinction matters. This is about sharpening edges, not changing DNA. What Petzing inherits is rare in this league: clarity. There is no confusion about who this team wants to be. There is no internal tug-of-war between philosophy and personnel. The Lions want to be physical without being predictable, aggressive without being reckless, and explosive without living on low-percentage plays. That balance is hard to find, and it's why coordinators who understand sequencing and structure often age better than those who rely purely on innovation. Sequencing is where this offense could quietly separate itself. Early play calls that feel ordinary can be setting up looks that matter much later. Runs that seem repetitive can be forcing adjustments that eventually create mismatches. This is not always satisfying in the moment, but over 4 quarters, it compounds. Defenses start guessing. Linebackers hesitate. Safeties creep. That is when the offense strikes, not out of desperation, but out of leverage. Another piece to monitor closely will be how situational football